Welcome to the Tee Off.
Ooh, spill that tea, sis.
This is how we like to start our show. We like to spill some tea on our favorite athletes and some of the crazy situations they get themselves into. Look, this week, we are going to have to dive back into the DeShaun Watson situation. For those of you that are not familiar, we have some past episodes basically giving a lot of the details, but long story short, 22, originally 23 plus women have basically filed litigation against DeShaun Watson, accusing him of sexual misconduct, assault, etc. They're all being represented by the attorney, and I want to believe the attorney's name so I get it right the first time, is Rusty Hardin, representing all of these women. And at this point, we know they've all been identified. They were forcefully identified by a court order. And where are we now? Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about happened back in April. And this is when we get the first official response from Watson's lawyer, Tony Busby. And it's 7 pages, but I will give you some of the highlights that are extremely necessary. First and foremost, they are staunchly denying all of the claims made against DeShaun Watson. And they list out some stats that I think are important and will give you a shape of the way his defense is currently going to go. The first is they say that 8 of the 22 women actively bragged, praised, or were excited about massaging DeShaun Watson, and they have proof of that, text messages, social media, etc. Your face got a little weird.
Before? Like they were excited before they massaged DeShaun Watson?
Like they
After?
bragged on social media, like I massaged DeShaun Watson. 7 of the 22 willingly worked or offered to work with DeShaun Watson after the basic incident that they say when they massaged him that they were assaulted. 3, they claim, lied about the number of sessions they had with DeShaun Watson. 3, they say lied about their alleged trauma, abuse, or harm. I don't know how they claim to prove that other than just like incident did not take place, but it was interesting. We are sports people. We love the stats, right? 5, they have proof, told people that their aim was to get money out of DeShaun Watson. And 5, they say have scrubbed or entirely deleted the social media accounts that they use to promote their business.
So here's what I'll say about that. I watched enough Law & Order SVU over the years to put out some facts of my own about your stats. The first thing is the social media stuff makes sense. We know that when these kind of things go to court, lawyers often try to slut shame these women. So you get rid of social media stuff because even if you do whatever online, that doesn't justify being assaulted.
Facts.
That's the first thing.
Facts.
The second is survivors often get facts wrong about the case after the fact. That's not unusual whatsoever. It doesn't mean nothing happened. The ones that give me a little bit more pause are the cases in which the women bragged online or were willing to work with him again after. It doesn't mean nothing happened or proof that nothing happened, but it is a little suspicious to say the least, as to why they would want to talk about it or put themselves in that position again if the allegations are true. So that's what I'll say about that. We've said from the beginning, we've had, like we said, past episodes on this, the lawyer for DeShaun Watson has not made the best arguments when it comes to defending his client against these allegations, because even the statute just listed, though they do cast some kind of doubt on the stories of the accusers, they don't prove that DeShaun didn't do anything. Just like when they came out after the initial 20-something allegations and said that 7 massage therapists really love DeShaun. Like, that doesn't prove he didn't do anything to the other 22.
Yo, oh my God. I almost forgot about that. If these women say he did not assault them, he obviously could have assaulted no women.
Yeah, strong argument.
That's why they pay them the big bucks.
It's embarrassing his law school.
Yo. And it's also important to note that while an accumulation of stats like this can and may in the future sound convincing, it does not cast doubt on all 22 accusers of Deshaun Watson.
Exactly.
It is very likely, right? Possibly likely that if Deshaun Watson did anything wrong, we do not know that when things start coming out, hitting the light, other people can see Money Train come forward. We don't know, right? It's also possible, because this is a large number of accusers, it could be a serial situation. We really don't know anything yet.
No. On the money thing, I will say that seeking out money as relief is also not a sign that nothing happened. If something, I had a problem at first with the civil allegations, but the lack of criminal allegations. As long as there are criminal allegations, I have no problem with the civil obligation. If you were wronged, if you were harmed, and that person has the monetary ability to help compensate you for your pain and suffering, then you should be able to seek that. That's why we have civil lawsuits in the first place. So no one should be, just because you file a civil suit, shouldn't be kind of skewed to show that you are lying about something or nothing happened.
Okay, I'm 100% with you. So where does that leave us now? And I think this is very important because people are thinking, well, what happens for the 2021-2022 season for Deshaun Watson? Some people may hope that the NFL would provide clarity on the situation using something such as the commissioner's exempt list for, situations such as these. The NFL has refused to do anything, which makes it pretty limbo for Deshaun Watson. If he wasn't already holding out a camp in OTAs, right? Technically, he's supposed to be there. He'd either be getting paid or not getting paid on the commissioner's exempt list. Like, it's very blurry, and I don't think it's going to be decided anytime soon. So, for the most part, and this is according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler and Sarah Bishop, right? He's not going to give any sworn testimony, any actual, basically, what's the word I'm looking for?
Binding testimony,
yes, dispositions, etc., until February 22nd, 2022. So not like the end of the case, the really early beginning of the case actually being decided if it goes to court can't happen until after the Super Bowl this year.
Do you know if that is for the civil cases or the criminal? It sounds like the civil cases.
So I think it is for the civil cases, not the criminal cases. However, the criminal cases are largely being conducted by the Houston PD. There hasn't been much actual, progress on that end. In fact, the women that have levied these accusations have actively said they do not think the Houston PD is handling their issues properly, taking their accusations seriously enough, showing them enough respect during the process, and some of them have even declined to continue working with Houston PD.
It's sad, but not surprising that they would say that.
Yeah, that's not an uncommon situation for women in, this situation to be in. So that's kind of wow, right? They're basically sans a settlement, there is no chance of Deshaun Watson playing this season, period.
Yeah, and the way the civil cases work, there will not be a settlement before he is deposed by the opposing lawyers. And the reason why is that most lawyers use the depositions to find out how strong of a case they actually have before they go to court. And so the earliest I can see a settlement happening is maybe 2022. I think there will be some other evidence that comes out before DeShaun is officially interviewed in front of a camera. They'll probably request things like bank account statements that prove payment of the services. They will probably request text message, social media access, etc. And those things may have the incriminating evidence in them that makes DeShaun want to settle, but we won't know probably until at least the end of this year.
And it's interesting enough because in most situations you'd be right, but there's a lot on the line in this situation that might lead someone like Deshaun Watson to want to settle early, such as a year of your football career, hundreds of millions of dollars, etc. But it's important that as of May, like late May, right, Deshaun Watson's lawyer has said Watson is not engaged in any settlement discussions with his accusers at all. They say that all reports that you have heard about these settlement discussions were engaged/initiated by the lawyers representing these women, i.e. Tony Busby, right? And they have said, and they say very strongly, and I'll give this one a quote, "While we have never approached Mr. Busby about a settlement, he has approached us on numerous occasions in the past about the possibility of settlement. We made it clear all along that would be no settlement unless the terms are made public and all participants are allowed to speak in their own defense at all times."
Yeah, that's not how settlements go. So that'll never happen.
See?
And to be clear, Watson's lawyer is the one being ridiculous here.
Are you sure if Watson believes he's innocent, right, and actively wants to prove his innocence, and everything we've heard from Deshaun Watson's camp, because we haven't really heard much from Deshaun Watson himself, right? So everything we've heard from Deshaun Watson's camp is he undeniably believes he's innocent and is hell-bent on proving that to everybody. Which means having everything be fully public is extremely key to that second part.
Well, wouldn't the criminal case take care of that?
The criminal case just says that they can't prove like the beyond a reasonable doubt thing.
But all of the records from the criminal case will be public. And it seems like if everybody is testifying in their criminal case and that stuff comes out, I'm sure if there's a trial, there are reporters in the courtroom, they'll have transcripts of that stuff. It'll be printed. It'll be shared. I mean, if they're both happening, one criminal and one civil, I try to get rid of the civil liability first and then get him off of the criminal liability. And hopefully the transcripts from the court proceedings come out and prove he's innocent. Not to mention the decision itself.
That's very possible.
I'm no lawyer, but
I think they want to, if you're going to settle, you want to handle this as quickly as possible.
Well, that should have been in April then.
You ain't lying. It's interesting because we've heard rumors recently that Deshaun wants to play for the Broncos. Did you hear those?
I have not heard those.
So apparently on Aqib Talib's podcast, right, Catching Fades, right, Watson's former teammate.
That's a nice name. Why do we think of that?
Yeah, it was hot. It was hot. Catching Fades, right? So his podcast is Catching Fades. Watson's former teammate Kareem Jackson said that Watson personally told him that he wants to be a Bronco. He said, like, and I can quote it if you like, but he basically said, I talked to him over the last couple of weeks, and all he's been telling me, I want to be in Denver. So that's not one conversation. It is multiple conversations over weeks that he's mindset Denver.
Well, anywhere but Houston right now works. So that's great. Listen, a lot of things going on in this case. We'll probably keep bringing people updates about this case for, I don't know, the next 6 months, a year, who knows? But there's too much smoke. There's got to be some fire. I'm sorry, but I'm starting to think very strongly that DeShaun did something wrong. Whether or not that he thinks it was wrong, maybe he thinks it was consensual. That's not the woman's interpretation of the situation. That was not the impact that he had on her.
Okay. All right, strong take. I'm with it. I speak your mind. I think regardless, everybody should want to see justice done here. No agendas, no special interests.
It's the truth.
Exactly. And that was your tee off.
Ooh, spill that tea, sis. Spill that tea, sis.